Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
That was the part where I just got all the swearing out of the way. The microphone is no longer muted. I just had to get all the cursing out after a 4-2 loss for the Calgary Flames. Sports betting, it's on everyone's mind right now, and Sports Interaction is Canada's sportsbook. Before the game starts, live in play, or how your favorite team will perform, Canada plays at Sports Interaction, doing it right since 1997. With the most competitive odds, Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. I would love to tell you in the chat that was a bit, but no, that was just a continuation of how the night has gone for someone wearing a Calgary Flames jersey this evening, as apparently just things don't work for anyone wearing a Flames jersey as they fall in this one. 4-2 ends up being the final score. As you can tell, it is just me tonight. My name is Peter Klein. I will be relying on you in the group chat. Shout out to Robert, who is helping us in the chat as well this evening. So, Flames lost. They're down 2-1 in the series, and this is why the last game was so frustrating from a Calgary Flames standpoint. Because, to be perfectly honest with you, I would love to come on here again today and rant and rave about how bad I thought the Flames did and how terribly the Flames played. Truth be told, I thought they were all right. I actually thought they were pretty okay. I would go so far as to say, bold I know, they played good. I think they played good hockey this evening, just not good enough to win this game. But this is why game 2 is so frustrating, because I thought they played terribly in game 2. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I mean in hockey and in life in general, just because you play well doesn't mean you get to win the hockey game. It's all fine and dandy that Calgary came out and played a good hockey game, but that doesn't guarantee you a win. And so when you have games with the poor effort and execution like game 2, it kind of means you have to be perfect the rest of the way. And the Flames, while they were fine in this game, were not perfect. And now they find themselves in a 2-1 hole, and now you're setting yourself up for a Monday game where it's must win. You cannot fall behind 3-1 in this series. We saw the last time these two teams met in the Stanley Cup playoffs that 2-1 is not insurmountable. 3-1, it's been surmounted before, but this is definitely not, this is not a team and not a franchise and not an organization that can afford to fall behind 3-1 in this series. So we're now going into a game 4 situation where Calgary needs to win that game. And again, like we're going to talk about a few things on this, but I thought overall Calgary played pretty well. I'm seeing a couple, can you talk on Johnny regular season so far? I thought Johnny had a fine game, but I thought that there was a couple of things that Gaudreau probably needed to improve upon. And so let's start with the top line. I mean, he is the top player on this team, and that is the line that is the straw that stirs the drink with the Calgary Flames. Also, I just noticed the doors open behind me. I didn't leave that open, so if I get if something bad happens to me, you all see it. That spooked me a little bit. But for Johnny Gaudreau, like, I thought he was good. I thought he was creating pretty well. I thought that there was speed to his game. There was There was a purpose to his game, is the best way that I could describe it. The problem was, once again, it was a little too easy to keep him to the outside. It got better as the game went on, absolutely, and especially in the last 5 minutes. There was a couple of chances in tight, and there was a couple of opportunities for him. He gets stopped on the breakaway. That is going to happen. It's a breakaway, but he also didn't exactly have a lot of time to do a bunch of dangles. There was someone pardon the pun, there was someone right on his back who was coming in that was kind of preventing him from doing anything. So it's a fine Johnny Gaudreau game, but once again, it was too easy to keep him to the outside for the most part in this game. And I thought the play that really summed it up really well, and a play that I think described perfectly the issues that the Calgary Flames are dealing with right now, was in the second period. Gaudreau is racing up, I believe it was the left wing side. He is driving in, and Heiskanen is able to not only slow him down, but just dead on cut him off. Like, just angled him over, stopped the rush entirely. Calgary has to retreat. That was, I thought, a perfect summary of some of the issues that the Flames had in this game, because normally in the regular season, and Johnny regular season, so you know, we're playing into things here. In the regular season, Johnny has that lane, and he just is able to go, and a defenseman will probably just back off because that's whatever. But because you are now solely laser focused, as my last employer would say a whole lot in promos, because your main focus in life right now is the Calgary Flames, the Dallas Stars knows that's something that Johnny's going to do. Not that it's revolutionary that he wants to skate really fast down the wing, but the Stars are aware that that's something he's going to want to do and are able to cut that off, and there was no plan B. There was no adjustment for the Flames to okay, well, now we have to do this. It was like, well, darn. Now I guess that rush is over. And I thought that really summed up things, and really summed up the way that things have gone for Johnny Gaudreau in this series. He has a really good burst, but it's all on the outside. And they're able to get the chance in front with Lindholm, a couple of chances in front with Lindholm. So they're able to get a few more high danger opportunities in this game and in this series. But overall, it's not enough. It's just not enough. And you look at the opportunities that Dallas had in high danger zones in this game. Markstrom, I thought, was excellent. And again, once you do get those high danger chances, Jake Ottinger's been fantastic. Now, I don't think the Flames have done enough to make it so that life is difficult for Jake Ottinger. Like, Jake Ottinger hasn't had to work to be fantastic in this series. He's just had to be his regular fantastic self. I think Markstrom's had to work a little bit harder to be very, very good in this series because of what the Dallas Stars have been doing to him at up to this point. But the main thing is this Calgary Flames team, because there wasn't anything they did particularly bad. There wasn't anything they did particularly terribly. It was just they got beat in this game. They played well, but they ended up on the short end of a 4-2 decision. That's going to happen, and that is kind of the summary as to why having that loss in game 2 was so incredibly frustrating. A number of people chiming in on the chat. Well, I will try to get to as many of these as possible, but I'm seeing Tyler Toffoli, his name getting brought up. I thought this was Toffoli's best game of the series, which is equal parts encouraging that things are getting better and concerning that this is the bar that's been set so far. But I thought like he has a pretty good chance on the far side in the third period, coming off of a scrum behind the net. He's able to walk out in front, create an opportunity, and he just ends up being stopped. But Toffoli is not his regular self. And I think that is kind of tying into one of the other issues. A lot of the focus is going to be on Johnny Gaudreau and on Matthew Tkachuk and on Elias Lindholm and on that top line. The fourth line played their little hearts out tonight and played grading on the curve of the fourth line, played really, really well. They got stuck out there against the first line against the Dallas Stars, and holy hell, never let that happen again. But like the fourth line played fine, and the third line played all right, and the second line played all right. But that's the thing, is that I think everyone just needs to boost a little more for the Calgary Flames. There just needs to be kind of a rising tide, raising all ships sort of a moment for the Flames, because everyone is playing okay, but there is another level now. And to the mention in the chat, regular season, this team is playing very well. Playoffs, we've seen around the league, everyone is elevating their game, and the Flames are still kind of stuck in regular season mode, and they haven't been able to get that playoff gear. This was the first game of the series that felt like a playoff game, right? Like this was the first game of the series where there was that intensity, and the Stars crowd is going, and they're doing that stupid, god-awful chant every time they score. And by the way, I will say that next series, I will say it for forever. I will say it in a regular season game in January against Columbus. That's a stupid-ass chant, but that's beside the point. This crowd was into it. Both teams were flying. There's chances at both sides. There's multiple goals being scored in this game. This felt like a playoff game, and it felt like a game that for a lot of moments in it, the Flames were holding on. There was that stretch in the second period where it was all Dallas Stars, and the Flames I thought were way too sloppy with the puck, and I thought that there was way too many turnovers that led to way too many golden opportunities for the Stars, and some of them eventually end up in the back of the net. So while I'm saying that there wasn't a ton that was like putrid about the Flames game, there are a lot of ways that they can improve upon what they did tonight as well. And the turnovers, none of those can happen. That just cannot happen. And we're seeing some people say in the some people talking in the text line about like how the Dallas Stars are playing playoff hockey and the Flames aren't. And I think that is where the Flames are having some trouble, is that in the playoffs now, because of the extra intensity, because of, quite frankly, the elevated skill level that you were playing. You don't get to play the Vancouver Canucks or the Buffalo Sabres or the Ottawa Senators. I don't know why Vancouver just got caught up in that, but you don't get to play the lesser teams every other night. You are playing a team that deserves to be here on a night in, night out basis, and they're playing a little bit quicker, and they're playing with more intensity, and the decisions just have to be made a split second quicker, and they're not firing for the Flames right now. You can watch them think, and it goes back to Entourage and Ari Gold talking to Jessica Alba. Don't think. Thinking's bad for your complexion. Thinking is bad for what you are doing out on the ice right now for the Flames, because you can just see there's a split second of, oh, what do I do? Oh, this thing. And even if this thing is the right thing, it's too late to do this thing now, and there's a Stars player there, and now he has the puck, and look at that, now you're losing. That is something that the Flames have been caught up in a little bit, and I think credit to Dallas for putting that pressure on the Flames, for making Calgary make some of these mistakes that are leading to scoring opportunities for the Dallas Stars, for actual goals for the Dallas Stars, and now 2 wins in the first 3 games of this series, and now Calgary is in a whole lot of trouble. But I think that, I do think you have to credit Dallas a lot of what they are doing in this series. Someone asking how the door closed. I'm assuming that my wife came in and closed it. Generally, people who are breaking into your house don't just give you privacy, right? Like, they just don't. It's like, hey, you know what? We were going to break in, and we were going to rob the joint, but it seems like he's busy right now. We're kind of big fans of the SDPN and Game Over Calgary, so we're going to let him finish, and then we're going to do this. I'm assuming my wife was there to close that, as probably we were going to get a cat run in at some point. So that is how the door closed so far. That dum Dallas Stars. I'm glad people are quite as frustrated with this as everything else. This game came down to a stupid slash and the unclutchness of Johnny Gaudreau. Look, I don't think we can have a longer discussion about clutchness and those sorts of things, but Johnny had a breakaway and he got stopped by a very good goalie. Like that is going to happen. I don't think you can put this all on Johnny Gaudreau, and I think in the grand scheme of things, as much as I just went on about the Flames, and as, I guess, unsatisfactory as this description might be, I think this was more Dallas winning it than Calgary losing it. I think Game 2 was more Calgary losing it, which again is part of this overall grand frustration with the Calgary Flames, is that they finally have a night where they play well and they still lose. But I think this was more Dallas winning it than the Flames losing it. But yeah, the slash and call, that hurts. I saw some complaining about the officiating once again tonight. I get it's a lot of 4-on-4 and it's a lot of special teams, but there's a lot of stuff, like it's not like the Lindholm interference we could have a debate on. That is by the book a penalty, and I think if that happened in the third period instead of the first period, it's probably not getting called. But that is interference. And I like that. There's a lot that I think are just penalties, you know, and the referees are calling it. So I don't know about the officiating, but yeah, that what boggles my mind is the Flames played a near perfect game penalty kill wise and have played basically a perfect series penalty kill wise, and then two guys just decided, yeah, let's go take Nemesnikov instead of Joe Pavelski. That seems like a thing we should do. Like that just, and again, it's part of that thinking where it's like, oh man, guy has the puck, we better go to that guy. It's like, well, maybe let's just focus on Joe Pavelski here for a second. And it's something that I've talked about on other podcasts that I do, where the whole bigger moment might be a bit bigger, because I find when either the moment gets too big or the situation is getting too big, and there's just a lot of, like, for lack of a better phrasing, going on, a lot of times it's okay, let's just watch the puck, because that if I focus on the puck, that is my center, that is my zen. And it makes sense, right? Because the puck is like, when that thing goes in the net, then the goals happen, and that's how you lose hockey games or win them if you're scoring them. So it's easy to focus on the puck, but in that situation there needs to be a situational awareness that maybe, just maybe, two guys don't need to go to Nemesnikov, and one of them needs to go to the Hall of Famer who's going untouched down the middle. And it just seemed like there was, it was just, again, all the mistakes from the Flames tonight were just little bit ones, but there was too many of them that led to too many chances, and finally the dam burst, and they ended up falling in this game. 4-2 is the final. The Flames penalty kill has been very good all series long. It has been. And we require cat tax to make us feel better. If this series continues down this path, I will say, if we have to do the Flames just lost to the Dallas Stars in a series podcast, we have two cats. They're both adorable. I will bring both of them in here, and we can all just kind of get some of their sunshine as we all collectively potentially grieve on that one. Is Johnny just not a playoff performer? I go back and forth on this, and I think this is a question, and I don't want to go like too big picture just yet, because they are still only down 2-1. This Flames team has won 3 games in a row a bunch of times, and now they have to win 3 out of 4. They can certainly do that. You know, it's not like this series is over. I don't get that sense from this one, but just to talk about bigger picture for a second, this is a decision the Flames have to consider, because this is, while that wasn't a perfect game tonight by any stretch of the imagination, that's like one of the top 3 playoff games Johnny Gaudreau has ever played, right? Like, this time of year has not been kind to Jonathan Hockey. And I think that there is now a decision that has to be made coming up in this offseason. And I think Johnny Gaudreau, and not to put too much pressure on the next few games or anything like that, but Johnny Gaudreau, what he does in the next 2 to 3 to 4 games in this series is going to, I think, potentially add like an extra digit point. I was going to say comma. He's not going to get $1 billion out of this, but it's going to add an extra digit point to his contract, and potentially decide if he is residing in Calgary or somewhere else. Like that kind of feels like what is on the line in this series. Okay. Pavelski is Hall of Very Good, not Hall of Fame. Look, I just wanted to say, for the record, I may have been hyperbolic to make a point. I haven't, when I made that point, I wasn't exactly like, I don't have Joe Pavelski's Hockey DB page in front of me. I think we could probably have an argument back and forth, one of the better American-born players of all time. Either way, you have a really good guy, I will say greater than Nemesnikov, going down the middle, if we can agree on that one for in a second. Love you, Audie. We love Audie too. Yes, Audie is off this evening. I believe he's calling hockey somewhere. But he will be back, I think and hope, for the next game. Anyway, anything else on the street? A lot of cat talk. I apologize that I brought that up. Actually, no, I don't. My cats are adorable. They're awesome. The Flames did playoff style so long that when everyone else started playing it, it's caught them off guard. It's like, hey, we were doing this before, it was cool, all right? But now we got the band's t-shirt, and now it's a little bit faded, and everyone else's is nice and crisp, and they're playing it better than we are. So no, that's fair. Is Sutter overthinking this series? How much of this is the coach's problem? I don't know if Sutter is overthinking this. He might be underthinking it. That might have sounded worse than I wanted it to be, but I don't know why there was no adjustment made going into this game, lines-wise. And I think that fourth line played well. Like, Lewis gets the goal. Lucic helps by getting in the goalie's way a little bit. But I thought Lucic had a pretty good game. I thought Lewis had a pretty good game. But once again, there was a couple of times where I was like, oh, right, Brett Ritchie plays on this team. And those instances did not come up positively. So if it were me, Ruzicka is in that spot. And I think you look at where the Flames like really turned things on in the middle part of the season. It's when Ruzicka got called up, put on that fourth line. And then all of a sudden that fourth line was an NHL line again. And I think having Ruzicka out there would be a nice boost. So I would like to see Sutter maybe doing a little bit more. I don't think he's overthought anything in this series. I would love for him to be overthinking some of the stuff, because right now it just seems like, yeah, we're just going to go out there and play. I would like there to be a little bit more. I would like there to be a little bit more from... God, there's a Joe Pavelski debate going on. I did not anticipate that this evening. Look, Joe Pavelski, a phenomenal NHL career. Like I said, one of the best American-born players of all time. He is, at the least, a Hall of Very Good player. But also, I think we could also have a bit of a bigger discussion that maybe the Hall of Fame is currently the Hall of Very Good. Either way, he's been phenomenal in this series. And I know this is a Calgary-based show. I do think we have to tip the cap a little bit to the Dallas Stars, because they've played excellent hockey. At least they did tonight. The first couple games, whatever. But tonight, they played phenomenal. That top line was dangerous all night. Jamie Benn was out there. And again, the pressure they're putting on Calgary's defense, forcing a lot of those turnovers, I think was a key in this game defensively. Like I said, they've used their skating ability very, very well to limit what the Flames do. How many times? And this is something that I've talked about a lot, because hockey is a very complex game, but it's a simple game as well. And we've said it even on here. You win the neutral zone, you win hockey games. And right now, how many times, just think back to the night, how many times the Flames just free and easy fly through the neutral zone? Like twice. Every time it has to be either chipped in or something along those lines. And sometimes that is part of strategy, because you are playing a long series. You want to chip the puck in so you can go hit their defensemen, so that 3 games from now, they're a little bit battered and bruised, and we can take advantage. But the more advantageous way of doing that is carry the puck into the zone and score. That seems to help things out as well. And I think that you look at how Dallas has played, they have limited the neutral zone immensely, and Dallas can play a real lockdown defensive style, but they can do that with skilled skaters. Like, I think a lot of times when we think of the Trap, we think of the 1995 and guys just going water skiing as they hook, and it's a bunch of 300-pounders who learned how to skate 45 minutes ago. I think that kind of gets into people's minds when they talk about, like, oh, they play a Trap and they play a defensive style. The Stars are able to do that, but integrate the current athletes' skating abilities in there, and they do it really well. And Calgary, we talk about adjustments, Calgary hasn't figured out how to do that yet. Calgary has not been able to get through the neutral zone with any kind of pace whatsoever, and I think that has really limited them. Because again, how many times has Calgary had real sustained pressure offensively? And I'm not just talking about like what Jim Houston would say when they're under siege or anything like that, but just like a couple of shifts in a row in the offensive zone. They're very few and far between, right? Like, it's just like one shot, ping, and out. One, missed the net, and now it's out again. And it's, here's a couple of chances, and it's out again. The Flames haven't been able to get into the offensive zone comfortably, and they have not looked comfortable in the offensive zone. And I think a lot of that is credit to Dallas. A couple of more points that I want to hit on, and then we'll get into some more not Joe Pavelski related stuff in the chat. Face-offs are killing this team. And I know that amongst hockey people, face-offs are quite the debate. Because on one side, we have an understanding that like face-off percentage maybe isn't a tell-all on how guys are doing. Because sometimes they take face-offs off. Whether it's an offensive zone draw at a certain point where you want the other team to win the draw. Because then, hey, look at that. We just got the puck in deep. And now let's go out, crash into a couple things and get the turnover. But key face-offs where you needed that puck. Specifically, let's say, in the last 90 seconds of a hockey game, when you have the net empty, the Flames didn't win any of them, and it cost them. And this is something that needs to get figured out, and it's something that they've been able to take advantage of on power plays. You get a face-off win, bing, bang, boom, it's in your net. Penalty kill. Face-off win, they clear, and then Dallas can't get set up for another 45 seconds until apparently barely an NHL player, Joe Pavelski, comes into the zone and scores. Please know I'm being sarcastic on that. But Faceoffs were a big concern for the Flames, I thought, in the last part of this game. If they win one faceoff, they have an opportunity to do something. And then something else that was highlighted on the broadcast this evening, when they were doing that 4-on-4, and there was that cycle around, A, I will state, on the outside the whole time, so, but B, it's great control from Calgary. There's speed happening, and you can see Dallas is basically playing like man-on-man defense with the speed that the Flames had out there and the control that they had. There was a chance for someone to make some kind of one-on-one move and get a bit of an opening and create an opportunity. Instead, what the Flames got was a one-timer that fluttered into the glove of Ottinger from Noah Hannafin, and that was that. And there was a couple of times, specifically Hannafin, late in this game, had the puck and just, I know the default setting is just put the puck on that and see what happens. And there was a lot of bodies in front, but it felt like there were better opportunities, and it was kind of a waste of a possession, I guess, from the Flames. So shot selection, they had a bunch of shots tonight, and that's great. And just put the puck on the net, fine. But I felt like there was a couple of times where there was more happening in the offensive zone than that scoring chance would dictate. I felt like if they're able to hold on to it and control it a little bit longer, I understand that perfect can be the enemy of good sometimes, but sometimes it's fine to look for perfect, and I don't think the Flames did that enough in this game. And again, we see where they are at now. A couple more notes from the chat, and thank you all. And again, remember, subscribe, like, follow me on social media. I am at Primetime Klein, all of those good things. Should be a good game 4. No kidding. How good was tonight? Like, again, the result is not what we want, but this was a fun hockey game. This was really, really entertaining, and it was the first game of the series that felt like a playoff game. So I think game 4 is going to be huge, not only from the Flames need to win this or else, oh my god, but just from an entertainment standpoint, yeah, game 4 is going to be phenomenal. Holy cow, there's a lot of Joe Pavelski in here. Sutter hockey, everyone's a hammer. I mean, that's fine, but the Dallas Stars are not comfortable being nails. And there was a couple of times, again, we talked about this with Audie after game 2, I guess it was, where, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to be more physical. Well, that's great. Can you do anything with it? And one of the things we talked about was get to those high danger chances. They got a couple more of them, but I still think there is another level to be gained from the Flames' physicality and creating offensive looks off of it instead of just, I'm going to boom into you now. There's, I think, too much of that. Some Klingberg discussion. Offensive pressure has been lacking. And that's been a hallmark of this team, right? You have guys like Mangiapane, who is very good at puck retrieval. You have Toffoli, who is good in the puck possession game. You have that top line that can just silence guys for forever, and they're just not able to do that. And it's so frustrating. Does Tkachuk fighting take him away from his offensive game? Thank you, Brian, for that question. Short answer. Yaha. Expanded now. I do feel like Matthew Tkachuk has been taken out of this game. Out of his game. I think that he has gone into full-on pest mode, which he is great at, by the way. And if you've ever... I haven't done it to this extent. If you've ever done it before in a sporting contest, it's a lot of fun to just go out there and just kind of annoy people. But it does kind of seem like on that top line, of the 3 dudes out there, he's third, right? Like, Lindholm's got a couple of goals. Johnny at least was creating a little bit tonight. And Matthew Tkachuk was, right? Like, there wasn't a whole lot there from Matthew Tkachuk. And again, it's great to be physical and to crash into guys and maybe even punch a dude or two. And hopefully his knuckle is feeling fine. But the Flames, we have established now, need more than just crash, bang, boom. They need offensive chances, offensive opportunities, and maybe, if you're feeling frisky, a goal or two. And Matthew Tkachuk, I don't think, has contributed to any of those things. And so, while a lot of the focus is going to be on Johnny Gaudreau, and rightfully so, I think that Matthew Tkachuk has a little bit of answering to for what's gone on for the Flames in this series. That was goalie interference. I didn't think it was goalie interference. I thought that there was a little bit of help from Ottinger in how, I guess, easily he went down, how he stuck his foot out, how he was moving anyway, and it's borderline whether he was in the crease or not, so I didn't think it was goalie interference. I thought the second they challenged it, it was coming back for goalie interference anyway, because I'm super wrong on a lot of those things. But, no, that was not goalie interference. Any line changes you would think would work to shake things up? I do think Ruzicka in for Richie would help out a lot. I don't know if you mix and match amongst the forward group too much. Like I don't think to try to get someone going, you break up Kachuk, Lindholm, and Gaudreau, and I don't think you do a whole lot of moving. I think that aside from a couple nibbles along the edges, this is the team that has got you to this point. You just need them to execute now in the way that we've seen them, right? So I don't know if there's a whole lot. I would like to see Ruzicka in, but aside from that, I don't know if there's a whole lot of this right now that there isn't that break glass in case of emergency that the Flames would have. That okay, well now this is going. But the one thing that is for sure, this is a whole lot more of a series than I was expecting it to be. I had Flames in 5. I thought you looked at the teams on paper and it wasn't close. I thought Calgary was miles ahead of Dallas. And the reason I thought that was, well, the Flames have one very good line. The Dallas Stars have one very good line. The Flames then have 2 other lines that you feel real comfortable with. And the Dallas Stars have one really good line. Like, it felt like the Flames' depth was going to be able to win out, and so far, that has not been the case. I've seen more Raffl than I have Coleman. I've seen more from Faksa than I have of Toffoli, and that can't be happening from a Flame perspective. So while it would be nice if there was okay, let's get this guy in here, and that's going to shake things up, you need these guys to outplay a team that it shouldn't be that hard to outplay them. And Dallas is playing a hell of a series. And I don't want to take anything away from them. Because again, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're going out there, they are working hard, they're playing Dallas Stars hockey. From a Flames standpoint, that shouldn't matter. Because this is Daryl Sutter hockey. This is a city that glorifies 2004, that still holds that team, rightfully so, on a pedestal because of how hard they worked and how grindy they grinded, and how this group of Jerome McGinley, Mika Kiprasov, and the Blowfish were able to make their way to within a couple of inches on a wraparound for Martin Jelena and one game of the Stanley Cup. This is an organization that prided itself on hard work and brought in Daryl Sutter to get that out of these guys, and for 82 games in the regular season, got it out of these guys, and now in the postseason, they're not getting that. If they match the Dallas Stars' work ethic, then they should win this series by a ton, because they're just better. But right now, that has not been the case. They have played Dallas Stars hockey for a couple of games, and now in this one, this was more Calgary Flames hockey, and they still lost. And I think part of that is just them's the breaks of sports, but also that there's just more that can be picked up from some of these Flames players along the way. They need bodies in front of Ottinger, get in his kitchen. Oh, that is 100% accurate. And that's another thing on that Hanifin one-timer on the 4-on-4, and it's something that they brought up on the broadcast. Get someone in front. That there is no one in front. Ottinger is stopping that 100 times out of 100. There's no chance. And I think they did a bit of a better job on that in the final 5 minutes or whatever. But even still, when there was traffic, again, and I hate to pick on him because I think he's had a pretty good series, but Hanifin, it looked like he was trying to get a little bit too cute on some of those, where it was, you have guys crashing in, and he was trying to catch the shaft of Gaudreau's stick as he was driving by so it would deflect into the net. Just throw it. I know I criticized him earlier for, just throw it on net and see what happens. In that case, that was just throw it on net and see what happens, instead of trying to pinpoint a thing on, the letters on Johnny's stick to bank it off at the appropriate time. It felt like when he needed to be perfect, he was just all right. And when he needed to just be all right, he was trying to be perfect. And it never really worked. But no, the life needs to be a lot more difficult on Jake Ottinger than Milan Lucic skating close-ish to his crease once. That is 100% accurate from Susie there. Need more movement down the middle, more weak side rushes. Just any rushes. Any rushes would be great. There is no rushing whatsoever for the Calgary Flames. That I would agree with that. But yeah, and that's something that we saw from Dallas here, where you do get some of that pressure. You have a couple of guys come out, and then, look at that, the back door is wide open for either a Hall of Very Good or Hall of Famer Joe Pavelski to capitalize on that one. I don't. Everything is on fire. That's a fair assessment. I'm realizing now as I'm ducking down, I'm just like leaving my head out, so I apologize for that. I will bring my phone up a little bit higher so I can read the chat here. Overall, again, I don't think the Flames played poorly, but I don't think that Dallas stole one in this series. The Flames have to do more to contribute to winning hockey in Game 4 to have a hope, right? Like, it needs to be chances in high danger spots, which means you got to work for it because Dallas is not given the middle of the ice to anybody. Maybe you're going to have to make a couple of moves around guys instead of just, oh, we've been cut off. Well, let's try to chip and chase. Oh, darn, they got to it in time because Dallas's defensemen, spoiler alert, are pretty good skaters. The Flames, this is going to really show us what this team is made of. And I don't want to put too much on one game. I don't want to dive too far into hyperbole or anything like that. But it does feel like this era of Calgary Flames hockey comes down to Monday night in Dallas. And if we hear that stupid Pantera song 4 times, then there are going to be gigantic changes in Calgary. But for years and years and years, we have heard how this year is going to be different. We have heard how this group of forwards is now going to unlock this thing that a previous group was not able to do. Well, now they find themselves in a spot that they have found themselves in way too many times. As the favorite in the series, but as the team trailing going into a crucial game. That this is the time where we see what this Calgary Flames team is made of. And if it's the same as it's been before, then next year is going to look a lot different. But if they're able to look a lot different this time around, then wouldn't you know it, maybe the results will be a little bit different. Thank you all so much in the chat. This has been absolutely phenomenal and so much fun hanging out with you guys today. I'm going to go see who was opening and closing my door. Hopefully everything is all right. You can follow me on social media. I am at PrimetimeKlein on Twitter and Instagram, twitch.tv/PrimetimePK. I'm going to be on there a few times this week as we react to whatever is happening in this series and get ready for it. I like doing some of the all-time roster stuff on there. So remember to subscribe to the YouTube page here, like this video. It certainly helps us out a whole lot. And I will talk to you all later. Thank you all very much, and